My name's Karen Green. I was born in Bombay in India, and I moved to the Middle East about 20 years ago. So about, I don't know, 1987 or 88, I think. I lived in Dubai for 10 years, and now I live in Oman, and I've been here for just over 10 years.
Okay.
I was born Catholic, raised Catholic, and I'm still Catholic. Although I seem to, I don't know if socialize is the word, but I feel connected to the Protestant church just because my friends go there, and I go to a Bible group where everybody's Protestant, and I just seem to relate more to them here in Muscat. Back home, I mean, everyone I know is Catholic, so it doesn't really matter. But I think growing up, we didn't really question it as Catholics. You just believe, right? You don't question, we don't read the Bible that much. You just go pray every day, and that's what you grow up with. It's just part of you. It's who you are. When you need something, you ask God, you ask Mother Mary, Jesus, whoever you pray, and but I don't think you sort of really connect when you don't. How do I say, you don't really connect to God. You don't know why you're doing this. It's just something you've done since the day you were born, really. Especially with us, we had no choice. You just had to go to church every Sunday, and at one point it was every single day. So it was just sort of routine. You wake up in the morning and you went to church. And when I started working, I didn't do it so much. And I just kind of grew away from the church for a little bit. So I've only popped in every now and then. But I think I've always had that spirituality about me. It never completely went away. I've always felt this may sound really weird and it's quite personal, but I always felt very special to the Virgin Mary. I guess it's being Catholic, we pray to Virgin Mary. And I'm born on the Feast of the Assumption, 15th of August, which for Catholics is like a really big feast, you have to go to church and things. So, we always kind of felt really special. And I've never lost that. I always knew I was special in some way.
You know what a special mean?
I don't know.
Like
Like
after?
looked after by her. I was always sort of raised to pray to her because that's what we do, and so I've had this sort of connection, and I always feel she looks after me no matter what, and that's always been there. Even when I stopped going to church and for a little while, and I mean now it's even stronger. So I did always feel connected more to her and through her to God. But I just didn't pray like I should. It was all sort of mechanical, and you go to church, you say a prayer, and you say your night prayers, and it was just something you learned, and now I lay me down to sleep and that kind of thing, without much meaning or feeling. Whereas now, I just feel like I communicate directly with God. I talk to Him every day, every hour, sometimes every 5 minutes, and it's definitely changed. Maybe I've evolved, maybe I've gotten older. Or it's people you meet. I surround myself with people who are really spiritual as well, so that helps make you feel that connection. And lots of things that happen in your life to sort of make you appreciate that there is a God up there looking after you, and He's been really good to me in a lot of ways. So, that helps me believe.
Tell me about a time you feel like Mary was taking care of you?
Oh my gosh. All the time, really. Um, you know, I just pray. I always carry a rosary. It's something I've done for years. I carry a rosary in my bag wherever I go, and so and I change my bags constantly. So even it's sort of, I have my day bag, and then I'm going out and have my little clutch purse to go to a ball, but that never leaves my bag. It always goes there. And I've had this thing for years, and I don't know whether it started out as being kind of superstition. People have their prayer beads or need to touch something, because I do have a bit of OCD as well. So just borderline. But I always have this with me, and even the times when I didn't pray or didn't go to church, I always had that in my bag, and I just touch it, and whenever I touch it, I say a little prayer, or just say, keep me safe. I do it every time I get into the car, and so I know she's like constantly looking after me, because not because I do that, but I think, gosh, I can't just pinpoint any one particular time, just because it's all the time. I mean, it's my new life, as you can see. It was very hard for me. Like, I've been sort of what people call this, spoiled, rich, expat housewife. And for me to, I hadn't worked in 10 years. And so it was very scary to get out into the real world, having lost a lot of your skills. And you think, how am I going to find a job? Because I always thought, I mean, who would employ me? Haven't worked, haven't done anything for 10 years, can't really do anything. And at 40, I moved out on my own, got this little apartment, and I became a teacher. And I just feel something was leading. There was always circumstances that led to what I'm doing now in my life, and it was just like a chance meeting with someone, and someone said, "Oh, why don't you do this course?" And then when I did the course, someone said, "I know, so these people are looking for teachers," and it was just sort of chance meetings that are, it's just not coincidence all the time. I always believe there's somebody else guiding your life, and so that's when I think, because I used to feel a bit guilty because I'd left my husband, and so the guilt, I've carried it with me. I get all teary now. So I've kind of carried that with me for a long, long time. And to some level, I still do. But then when I look at all the blessings in my life that have not come from me, because, I've worked hard, don't get me wrong. I work hard, I party hard, but somebody up there has guided my life. And, and right now, I may not have the money I had, well, 2, 3 4 years ago. I don't have the lifestyle or the cars or the servants and the jet set travel and all of that, but I'm okay. I have a nice little place, and I have a great job, and I have super friends who like me for me and not for the rich person with all the fancy stuff. And then I think of all the blessings I've got in my life, and I think, really, if I was such a bad person, which I used to think I was, surely God wouldn't have blessed me so much.
What do you think God's will is for your life?
I don't know. I still believe I'm special. I believe now I'm extra special. Do we need to continue if I'm getting all weepy? Yeah, I believe there's something more. He has something. I don't know what it is. I don't claim to be like, I'm not going to end up being Mother Teresa or anything, because, I still have a lot of issues. I like my creature comforts. So, but I think in some way I can help. I know I do. I've done a little bit of work in the community. I know I can do more. I think he has a purpose for me. I don't know what it is. Sometimes during Bible study, people think that my message or the way my life is sort of, people have told me that my life now is quite an inspiration to a lot of people, just because I think people have always seen me as a sort of spoiled rich person, and for them to see me now being spiritual, talking about it, working hard, I think, and generally just lifting myself up. It's very hard, especially, I don't know, people who have been through it have told me like divorce is sort of, second to death or something. It's just so hard. And it's awful. And so to come out of it and feel stronger. And so I think, it's really nice, because I tell people, when they complain about their jobs or, oh, it's so boring, it's so miserable, I'm so depressed, and I'm just going, make the most of it. Something better will come along. But if you just keep moaning about life, it ain't gonna happen. And so, and I don't know, so I feel maybe in that little way I'm able to tell people, look at me, going from spoiled rich brat to 2 Christmases ago. I remember Christmas Day. Was it Christmas Day? No, Christmas Day. I was working 3 jobs. This is from somebody who, like I said, used to wake up and have a tray with her tea and breakfast at her door. And Christmas Day, I had to go to work at 8 o'clock in the morning, and I was working at 2 or 3 different places, and I know I taught like till, I don't know, I worked, and it was really strange because I never had to do anything before. New Year's Day, I went out New Year's Eve, and then I woke up in the morning and had to go to work, and work till 9 o'clock that night, because teaching, you teach nights and things. Anyway, so I just think, if I can do it, anybody can, and if you work hard, I think, there's always someone helping you. You can't just do it yourself. So now I kind of think, it's not too bad. My life's pretty good, and it doesn't stop me from praying, because I know the more I pray, the more I thank God, the better my life feels, it's just like good stuff always happens all the time, every day it's like something nice is going to happen today. And
Do you feel like there was ever a particular time in your life where you had to rely upon God, where you just said,
yeah,
you got to take this, I can't?
Yeah. When I was sort of struggling with the decision to leave and move out on my own, leave my husband, who was, very nice, very, very nice man. And it was just, you got to a point where, I thought I was just like choking I couldn't cope. And so I struggled for a year, and luckily I have a couple of friends who are really spiritual, and they would just say, just leave it in God's hands. And I found it hard because I'm so used to controlling my life. We didn't become wealthy overnight, it was, we worked at it, we planned, we wanted this life for ourselves, my husband and I, and so we control things, I prayed, I went to church, but I always felt like I needed to be in control. And it was only at that time when I had to say, whatever you want, you decide what I have to do with my life, what choices I have to make. And sometimes I think, oh, is that a cop out, when you can't actually make the decision yourself. So you're saying, oh God, you handle my decisions. And then I don't know whether the decision I made was good or bad, but I had to do it because I made it. I decided to leave, and after that was when I really because I'd made the decision. I couldn't go back, and that's what I was struggling with. And I went to see a counselor here with the Protestant church, and she kept saying, "You keep looking back, you know, every time instead of moving." She said, "You made your decision. Look forward." And that's when I sort of said, "Okay, there is no going back." And then I just sort of gave it all up. I'm like, you know, I can't control it anymore. I'm just gonna carry on doing what I do. Like I said, I have a good job. I'm okay. I still missed, part of me still misses the life, you know. But then I just said, you know, whatever you want with my life, whatever, just, if I'm meant to have, I don't stress about, you know, things. I mean, I worked, whatever happens in my life at that day, that week, that month, I just go with it. And then I think, if I'm supposed to get that job, I'll get it. If I'm not, it doesn't worry me. And, you know, I ended up with this, may not be a great job to everybody else, but for somebody, you know, who hadn't worked in years, 10 years, to be getting a wage, pretty decent wage for something, you know, I've earned it. It's fabulous. It's, you know, I can pay rent. I can, you know, still buy myself stuff. And I was stunned because most people have to wait a few years, get a lot of experience before they get a full-time teaching job here. You need to have a little bit of experience. And I felt because I'm not a teacher, I never ever taught before, and I went and did this 3-month course, and I got work like the day I finished my course, but it was all part-time. So what you really want is steady work. And everyone said, you got to wait 2 years. I thought, okay, that's fine. I can keep, you know, with part-time wages. And then 5 or 6 months down the road, just got this call and said, you know, somebody needs these teachers. And I think I don't have the experience. They said, oh, I think they're pretty desperate. So give it a try. What have you got to lose? I go, all right, then go on. And I did. So it was brilliant because I think, you know, not many get that opportunity to do it. So 6 months after doing that, you know, I had a full-time job, you know, I had a regular paycheck and medical and all that kind of stuff, which, you know, it's not what I had before, but it's steady, it's great. And I really believe it just happened, you know, because of my faith in God. I just sort of said, what you do, you sort of guide me down the path. You have a path you've chosen for me. You guide me down that path. And just help me, hold my hand while I walk down it. I don't know. You know, to me, growing up, and I still have this mental image of God being someone up in the sky with a long beard, and so I think to me that's still God, the old guy with the long beard. Yeah, that's still. She's the mother of Christ, but she's someone I don't know who I've grown up thinking. You know, she's somebody who's always going to be there for you to look after you, sort of like you know, like a mother, like my own mother, and so I always kind of feel I can talk to her, and I talk to her every day, and it. See, I'm not that deep a person. I still say I'm rather shallow, so I don't think a lot about stuff, okay? I just like go and do it. So I don't overthink a lot of things, especially religion. I don't say it wasn't important, but so it's always been part of my life. So it's like, you know, I've met a lot of people in the last few years because I've gone to various Bible groups, and people have just discovered religion, and I didn't. It was there all along. It's part of who I am. You know, you're Karen Green, you're Catholic. I mean, you know, in growing up where I did, every form you filled in, you got to put what religion you are, you know. So just like Roman Catholic, it's who you are. And recently I've met a lot of people who sort of just, discovered God in their 20s and 30s and 40s. Um, and then so I didn't know any Protestants till recently. And because they pray to God and I pray to all the saints and everything, knowing there's a God and, we're going through all these channels. But like I said, I don't overthink it. I just pray. But now, because when I pray with a lot of my friends, they pray to God. They pray, Jesus and things. None of them pray to Mother Mary, because that's what I do at home. But so now I feel sometimes I connect directly to God. When I'm walking out, I'll say, I just have this thing. Have you read The Secret? Yeah. So, we're all like followers of The Secret now. But I think in a way it's also helped me to get more spiritual, because I don't just connect to the universe, I connect to God. And so I'm constantly thanking God. Like I said the other day, I said, I didn't notice the mountains, they're there. So every day I walk out and, thank you for the mountains. Thank you. And the other day there were clouds in the sky. We don't have many cloudy days. So it's like, wow, clouds. Thank you. And I have every night I sort of thank God for something. So that I thank God for. But I still, that relationship that I have with Mother Mary, that is something special that I'll never lose. So every morning I have this little book that someone gave me, which is like a novena to the Virgin Mary. And especially in India, a lot of people do this novena. There's this church in Bombay where on a Wednesday, I've never been myself, but thousands of people go to this church, of all religions, not just Christians. And I don't know what it is about it. Lots of people say, it's really helped them in their lives, just going. It's something else. And then I met a couple of people who even here every Wednesday go, and they're not even Christian. They're Hindus. And they go they do this because it's Wednesday. They'll go to church because that's when they used to go in India to this novena to Mother Mary. It feels comfortable just because the Protestant church, I think, like I said, I've lived away from India for a long time. So for a lot of years, and my husband of many years is British. So I think I've lost that connection to India, although, that's still who I am, still an Indian, my nationality. But for many, many years, I didn't really even know any Indian people. So for the last nearly 20 years, I've been in a very sort of Western environment. And the way I think is more Western. Everything, I just feel it's more who I am. But I still go to Catholic church, and at Catholic church are mostly sort of Indians and Filipinos and things. But I feel awful saying this, and I sometimes come out of church complaining to people about, how awful the service was. And I think it's just the kind, I don't understand it. I don't relate to the services. It's sometimes they're long, and I don't understand the priests, the accents. They come from a part of India where I don't understand the accents. It's difficult, and the way they think. I mean, they're so outdated. Some of these people might come from some, I know, really small towns. And even though I grew up in India, I grew up in a big city, and so it's very hard for me to sit and listen to somebody preach about, why do people wait 5 years to have children? And, you should have children immediately. That's why God made. And I'm thinking, you got to grow with the times. And I just think they don't. So I feel guilty in a way, because I read somewhere recently that don't go to church to get something from it. You got to go to church, see what you can give to God. So I was thinking, okay, I'm not going to get irritated. I'm going to sit there and say, okay, God, I'm here for you. Not just to get, but you still go to church to get something, some message, some there. But every time I've gone, I just come out there like really rankled and thinking, I wish he would stop preaching about such inappropriate things, as in out of date, just, not, I don't know, it's just so old fashioned. And so totally, I think, like a lot of the Catholic priests here in Oman, not maybe if I went back to a place like Bombay, they're more switched on and, it's a more happening place. But the people that come here are from like South India, which is still very traditional in their ways of thinking. And it's just not what I'm used to. And so that's why I feel, because my friends in the Bible study group are all Protestant, I can understand them. When I go to the services, they have American priests or whatever, I can understand them, it's like, wow, I could just, but I feel guilty. So I'm there and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, because both the churches are on the same compound, and you know that about Oman? They have, so they've got Catholic here, Protestant here, in the same compound. So I'm kind of sitting there and thinking, oh, I shouldn't be here. My mother'd have a fit if she knows I was going to the Protestant church. But I don't know. One of the pastors says that, oh, it's the same God. Don't worry about it. So I don't do it all the time, but every now and then I go for Protestant services on Sunday. And then I'll nip into the Catholic church and go, oh, I'm really sorry for doing that. My life exactly the way it is. And it's a line I've taken from a book. So but I mean it. I say it to myself. It's this prayer book by a person called Linda Schubert. I don't know if you've read it. It's a beautiful prayer someone gave me. It's a miracle hour. It's 1 hour of sort of 5-minute prayers, and I don't do the whole hour. I do sort of 5 minutes every day. And every day, every 5 minutes is thanking God for something or asking for repentance. It's 5 minutes of repentance, 5 minutes of forgiveness, 5 minutes of praise. And there's one little saying, I think at the end, which is gratitude. And the words are there. I thank God for my life exactly as it is now. To have a Rolls Royce. I'm kidding. That would be nice. I used to have one. I always say, that little sort of, that part of me, which you can't lose. I've had to accept that I'm never going to be totally virtuous and go, I don't care if I'm like really poor and, I can't just give up that part of me completely. It's still in there. I'm still quite a go-getter, and I need that little materialistic part of me still there a little bit. But I'm happy with my life the way it is. But part of me just thinks one day, because I used to drive a Rolls Royce before, I had to sell it. I'm going to get my car back, just every now and then. And then I think it's so stupid. It is so stupid because I am happy with my life the way it is. So I don't know if I wish for anything. Probably, I don't know. People say peace. I have a lot of inner peace now. So my wish would be for just feeling secure in my life, feeling secure with being the way I am now. This is okay. I think that's what I would wish for, just to be happy, not to want anything more. Most of the time I am, but every now and then the little devil comes and says, oh, you can achieve more, or you can, would be nice. Wouldn't it be nice to have that, or remember the past days when I had all this stuff. And it's hard for me sometimes, when I'm talking, is not to refer back to my own life, because sometimes I feel I miss it. But so yeah, I think I just wish to be just happy with who I am and the way my life is right now, and not be greedy. Not be greedy. I don't think there's any harm in wanting stuff, but not to be greedy about things. No, I've always believed. Sometimes people make me think, and then, like I said, because I've grown up Catholic, we don't question. I have a couple of people here, friends here, who are atheists, and they've made me, I don't let that doubt appear. Because sometimes if you question, then of course you're going to question, really? The Bible? Somebody wrote it thousands of years ago. Someone said this to me the other day, because they had a son that killed himself last month, a 38-year-old, and they're atheists. And I was trying to console them, and the only way I know how is, how else do you tell someone, it's going to be okay, but I'm praying for you, that'll give you strength. And they just kind of like, I don't believe that. And I said, at least he's in a better place now, thinking, he must have been tortured to do this to himself. And the person just sort of took off from me and said, I don't believe that. I don't believe I'm going to see him again. And that's all a load of rubbish. And he said, don't tell me, the Bible, somebody who wrote something hundreds of years after it happened, and then times like that and people like that every time make me sort of question. Not a lot, every now and then you think, really? Is this for sure? Is this for real? But then it's just so inbred in me that then I think, well, and look at my life, every time I pray for something, I usually get it. So I don't know, for me, that's proof enough that there's somebody up there guiding my life. So I think God will give you the strength sometimes when you can't find anybody else. I find a great comfort in talking to people. I love talking to people. And I think I get strength from that, especially people like my friends who are very spiritual. I think sometimes people are not there. Sometimes everyone's busy with their own life, and then you realize you need somebody to talk to. So even if you don't have that proof, which I do, that God works great things in my life, sometimes I just think, the other day I was upset and I knew all my friends were out, and God, please help me cope with this, and then I know I'm talking to someone. So I don't know, I think even if you really don't believe, just give it a try, and just see if it works. Maybe you will believe. And I have a friend now, this is a chap I've been dating, and he believes, he's Protestant, so he's not Catholic, but I drag him to a Catholic church every now and then. And I sort of try and convince him, things will happen in your life if you pray to, I take him to church because he goes, you pray in front of the portrait of our Mother Mary. I go, I could guarantee you, I even now make guarantees to people. I'm like, if you pray, I guarantee you're going to get what you're looking for. Then will you believe? So I'm making deals with people on God's behalf. I don't know, maybe it's working. They haven't come back to me and said, oh, we didn't get that, so something's working. So that's my message, is believe. It'll happen.
Thank you.